Welcome to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. Jimmy is a veteran U.S. Navy SEAL, a former protective officer for the CIA Global Response Staff, founder and CEO of the Able Shepherd Program, a husband and father of 4, and a personal friend of mine. Now here's Jimmy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. I'm your host, Jimmy Graham. Joining me once again is Able Shepherd number 004, Skip Miller. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Thanks for
Got
having me
BK
on.
keeping us straight back in the back. What's up, BK? All right, we're going to jump right into this one, calling this COVID 2021. Actually, I forgot to thank Able Nation. So able-nation.org. At one point, we were creating Able Shepherd. As we were working through Able Shepherd, we would go out and help out churches and schools. You know, Neil Pinkham and myself would go out and find churches, schools, some businesses, but primarily schools at that time that didn't have a budget for any kind of security upgrades. So we dig in our pocket, we kind of pay for things along the way, and that got to add up. So we asked the community to join us. We formed Able Nation. That's able-nation.org. They're our sponsors tonight for the podcast. So if you need help with scholarships for training, with medical supplies, with security upgrades, fill out a simple application, send it to Neil at able-nation.org, and we can get involved and help you out. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. All right. So COVID 2021, in 2019, BK just reminded us that we did some videos talking about, we just kind of shared this experience together and we kind of aired it out. And you were following it more closely than a lot of us. Yeah. So you were leading those.
Yeah, early 2020.
Early 2020. Okay, so early 2020. Yeah. So
yep.
Right around there, nobody knew what we were heading into. As everybody knows, everything kind of shut down for a couple months, like the world. Yep. And then we picked back up and we did some consulting through that to kind of bridge that, launch back out of it and try to rebuild everything. And fast forward to November of 2021, kind of walk us through that if you don't mind, Skip, and we'll just kind of
I mean, one of the interesting things over the last almost 2 years now has been kind of like the ever changing nature of COVID and our reaction to it. The problems that some of it was necessary, some of it probably wasn't. The issues that caused. And really the kind of the uncertainty of what is really going on, because it's almost like you got to choose. Most people don't take the time to really investigate and really do the research to try and figure out, whether it's through research articles or doctors or whatever, what's going on. And so, and there's a lot of different things that there's different viewpoints on how to effectively handle COVID, to deal with it as a society, and once you have it. Yeah. And so it's almost like more and more people, and the people get more and more entrenched in their position, but really it's who do you trust that you're getting your information from?
That's right.
And so yeah, it's been it's just been a crazy situation with COVID. And this with the new variant, the Delta variant that came out, through India over, the last 3 or 4 months, a little bit more now. It's a different animal than the previous one. So yeah, it's like how do you handle it, both as like a society, but also in your community? Like we were in a restaurant today, and the mandatory mask signs are back up, and drive south 4 miles and it's not a deal, right? So it's almost like where you live really affects how your community, the greater community, is dealing with it.
Yeah.
It's been, and it seems like, I came kind of to the conclusion a year ago that we're all going to get this, have some measures in place to support you while you have it. And just kind of, you're going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Vaccines, not vaccines, all that stuff. In the end, we're all probably going to get this.
Yeah.
And so 30 days ago, like my wife and I actually got COVID-19, and it was a wild 30 days, really, really interesting 30 days. We kind of presented with the symptoms that you expect, a little bit of fevers, a lot of coughing, and horrible body aches, day 5 or whatever. And then Jody, my wife, couldn't maintain her, her oxygen levels. So you need to have oxygen. You need to have access to oxygen, or you're going to an emergency room where everybody is really sick. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we really got out of our experience was the need for, the about 95% of the help we received was from our Stand Circle. So, first, we started something in the fall of 2020, the Stand in the Gap initiative, and that was to kind of get people that you could rely on in an emergency situation. And everybody always wants, we're in the firearms industry, we teach self-defense, and everybody always wants to talk about the gun stuff. Well, this is like literally the perfect example of how a Stand Circle. So a Stand Circle, for those of you that don't know, the concept is you should have two people that can help you within 2 minutes of your home for a real emergency, 10 within 10 minutes. And it's just really a tight-knit group of people that have kind of committed to each other that we're going to help you in an emergency.
That everybody should have a dozen people.
Everybody should have a dozen people, correct. And that was where we got probably 95% of the help we needed was all through that group of people. The greater Able Shepherd community as well. Sure. But, when we needed oxygen concentrators on a Sunday night at 8 p.m., no stores are open. Your doctor's office is not open. And your choice is to go to the emergency room and they'll take care of you and then turn you away because they're not going to admit you because they don't have either staff or room for you unless you are actively dying from COVID-19. And so you got to have this group of people that has the resources and the commitment to help you in this situation. We would have had a completely different experience without that circle of people. It was an amazing kind of activation and a great example of how effective that organization of that circle concept worked.
This just popped into my head. Where's the common understanding of where this started?
What do you mean?
COVID. Where'd it come from?
So
because we lose like Afghanistan, shooters, like you name it. We just don't have an attention span for anything.
Right.
So it's not like, it's almost who cares, but it matters.
It does matter.
You know what I mean? Where did this come from?
Yeah.
Where do you think that the common understanding is where it came from?
Well, Wuhan, China, the debate on whether it was, a naturally occurring thing from the wet market there, or whether an escaped virus from the lab or a deliberate, release. I don't think we haven't come up with a common.
Do you remember the movie? I can't remember what it's called. That's actually Contagion, maybe.
Yes,
with the wet market. It's verbatim almost, and it's been out a long time.
Yep.
So when that came out, I'm like, this is way too close to this thing. Is it because it was so likely that's where they did the research that it could come from, or did you just grab something because that wet market? And then obviously I've read a lot of both sides, and is it something that was deliberately being worked on by the United States through China, all this other stuff, and then it got out of control? Was it deliberately released? Did it accidentally get? Who knows? We've so moved on from that. But I believe this absolutely fits a weapon. This fits the description of a weapon.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that goes back to kind of like who do you choose to believe?
Yeah.
And so there's certainly I find they were working on viruses in the lab, right in that town, in that city in China, and then it just absolutely miraculously, naturally occurred in the wet market. Okay, like there's a limit to coincidences here, and so I don't think anyone has definitively answered that question.
Right.
I find it highly unlikely that coincidence, occurred. But then the rapid spread of it all over the world.
Yeah.
It's and I think academically it absolutely matters where it came from. At this point, 2 years in, it's and I think that we need to pursue that and actually get an answer to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I switched a little bit over to kind of how am I going to deal with this?
Yeah.
Because
you can argue about it all day long.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's here. Now, accountability dictates that there must be people that we pay our tax dollars to make sure there's people that bring this kind of thing to justice. Mm-hmm. Who knows? Whatever. Yeah. But like you said, like we say around here, the interview started 3 years ago. It means who do you trust? We've gotten at a point right now, so things are so untrustworthy. You have to look at who's been speaking the truth for, for me, Family Research Council, all these places that have always been there. They've always had your best interest. So I'm going to back up 5 years, maybe 10 years and say, what were they saying? Yeah, they were good people then, that kind of thing. Sometimes we just have to do that. I think experience it, but I think it is healthy to look forward and say, okay, now that this thing exists, and if we are all going to get it, it's been a year ago. This is kind of the anniversary. You know how I remember? Because I got handed Thanksgiving dinner and I couldn't smell it or taste it.
That's right. You had it then.
That sucked, right?
Yeah.
And that was like, so mine, I feel like I didn't get it bad, meaning this. I've never had that sensation where I couldn't taste or smell. It was flu-like symptoms. By the way, there's no flu anymore. Just gone. It's miraculous. Gone. But it just mean I felt crummy. Got babied for a little bit by the missus and the family, and they all just kind of did their own thing around me, and I missed out on Thanksgiving. Yeah. And then it was pretty much, let's get back to work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So very fortunate, very thankful for that. But it was a year ago because it's Thanksgiving. But I know that we've had a lot of struggles, a lot of near misses, and folks in the program, absolute miracles. Mm-hmm. And then other family members or that we know of that, it aggravated something and then they lost their lives. So it's broad spectrum, and it goes to health. I mean, healthy people obviously can recover quicker and all that stuff, and fit, whether it's fitness or health or whatever. But I think that a lot of people have things that we don't really think about because due to medications or whatever, you're just okay until something aggravates it, and all of a sudden the medication's not enough, and then it starts on a spiral.
Absolutely. What I after our experience, there's certainly trends in terms of, the older, the more, the more issues you have health-wise absolutely makes it more likely that you are, that you're going to get more sick.
Yeah.
But it absolutely, our experience just shows that it's really random. Like the fittest dude I know, was probably until Jody, he was the epitome of good health, fantastic fitness. And he was probably the sickest dude I know that didn't go to the hospital.
Oh, wow.
And he was wrecked for a month. And that's very counter to what the normal thing is. There's this part of it that seems to be really random. And so the takeaways are absolutely like the healthier you are, the more cardiovascularly fit you are. There was some studies that they were really linking obesity to as absolutely, and it absolutely is a comorbidity for COVID. But when they actually dove into it, a couple studies have shown that it's sedentary is actually the correlator. It's not necessarily obesity. How overweight you are. It's do you do stuff.
Yeah.
And so and obviously sedentary lifestyle and being overweight, absolutely there's a correlation there. But it's interesting, like there's a lot of studies that are like it's not as simple as what Fauci and the normal old media is telling you. It's not that cut and dry. There's a lot of stuff that all these studies have shown where it's like, well, that's kind of true, but that's not the whole story.
Yeah.
And so you really do have to kind of dig in and try to figure out exactly like how you can best deal with this, cope with this once you have it.
And a lot of times, like you said, self-care. Like take care of yourself, because it's gotten so political, and it's gotten into the, and even into the medical field where I've talked to people, I can't remember who it was, might have been you actually, with a prescription, walk in, they won't fill it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you get a prescription. No, it wasn't. It was down in Castle Rock. And then having to shop around to find the prescription that you think is the best care for you. And they said, well, don't you want to listen to your doctor? Which one? There's
Right.
good luck with that.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to find, you ask 5 different doctors, you might get 5 different things or whatever. Then there's an agenda. Then there's the big farm. There's all of this stuff. And really all I want to do is just get okay. I just want to get healthy. I want my kid to be okay. I want, my friends to be okay and all that stuff. So if I do the research with someone that I've trusted for a long, long time and then head down a road, you're saying, no, you can't, so it is absolutely, again, a dangerous position. It's scary where it's going.
It is.
Because it's here to stay. We don't know what next year is going to look
Yeah.
like. The mask mandates are back in many counties. And I had a conversation this morning, actually, while I was working out, a buddy of mine, and he's like, man, I'm so happy we're in our bubble. And I'm like, that bubble has crosshairs on it. You know what I mean? So we live in a county that just happens to, let us choose how we're going to care for ourselves. And it's under attack. They're coming in a big way.
Well, I at the end of 2020, and it's like New Year, and you're approaching the New Year, right? And I can just remember all of these, thank goodness 2020 is over, because like 2021 is going to be so much better. And I can remember just kind of chuckling to myself, going, "Seriously, you really think that?" I love that about you, like how optimistic you are.
So
whoever I
cute.
was talking
Look
about,
at you.
it's so cute. Yeah, exactly. And so, and I don't believe. I mean, what is it? More people. I can't. I don't know the quote. I don't know the stats well enough to quote it. But there's I think it's more people died in 2021 than 2020 from COVID in the United States, like according to the official numbers. And it's 2021 is coming to a close. Oh, it's almost over with. I'm sure 2022 is going to be so much better.
And now the masks are coming back, and the mandates are moving forward, and
like that's not a thing. Like this is a long-term thing that we're all going to have to work with and work through together and individually. And so, just having the resources, taking the time to do the research, figuring out what is the best way to deal with this for you and your family and your friends. Yeah. Like that's part of being in America. Yeah. Is having the freedom to do that.
This is how crazy this is. So I go to Montana, right? And I'm like at the Yellowstone, take a picture of that. It's the Dutton Yellowstone Ranch and all that stuff. It's staying at the stock farm. It's a cool experience. But I wear my cowboy hat, the custom-made cowboy hat. Walk through, Rachel and I, we're just those people. So we're just walking through the airport, nothing, no mask, anything. And we get to TSA, and they're having you take off your mask to show you your face, right? They pull it on your mask, and it's like, you got to see it's you, right?
Yeah.
So I just walk up, I don't even have it. And the guy was like, hey, man, and this happened twice. Just, hey, could you throw a mask on just to get to right there? Because then you're not in our jurisdiction. So this is nonsense. Let's just do it and whatever. Like, and if I put a mask on, because like at this time of year, remember the flu's gone. But every year around this time, as you know, I get drainage. Yeah. And it's dry and all that stuff. Start coughing. It drives me crazy, whatever. But now it's like you're a longer, and everybody's like, COVID, whatever, So trying to just battle that. And if I put on the mask, I start coughing. Like I'm fine, put on, and now I'm breathing in there, and I start coughing on stuff. But anyways, that was interesting. That on 2 different occasions, they're like, "Listen, you can throw this on just to get right there. Then whatever, whatever."
Then it's I'm not responsible.
I know you do whatever you want because I get it. This is silliness, and we get it that the pores and the mask are bigger than the actual thing and all that kind of stuff. But it's it's crazy, and it's coming again. So I think it was yesterday about the counties. I saw a list of counties.
I think yesterday, the day before,
because our governor's a whack job, and he is, he's on fire because he's that little kid that's got the limelight on right now. So go big. So we'll see where that goes. What can we do moving forward? So we don't know. There's uncertainty ahead of us. Research some things that have proven to be
build your community.
One
that is the number one thing is build your community so that if when you get COVID and if the symptoms, especially the oxygen is the big thing, is like, we all need it. And it was weird, for 12 hours, I needed oxygen or I was, we mostly walk around somewhere between 93 and 99% of oxygen, percentage, in our bodies. And I could not breathe hard enough to get over 86. And it was weird because I swam most of my life. I've got good lungs. I can take deep breaths. Couldn't do it. in that case, you need oxygen.
Yeah.
Period. You need supplemental
you
oxygen.
say get oxygen. Where do you get oxygen?
So you get.
Where do you get? What kind of? What's the size of canister? I see the little ones, the nasal cannulas and all that. Is that enough a cannula, or do you need like?
Well, for us, so you get a prescription from your doctor.
Yep.
You go to a oxygen concentrator store, literally in Parker, for us, and you say, I'll take that one.
You buy it, you rent it? Like, how does it?
Either.
Okay.
Either. You can rent it, but then once your prescription is up, you no longer have it.
Yeah,
so we actually bought them.
Yeah.
And so because I recognize that that the number one thing I saw, because we had to take Jody to the hospital. Mm-hmm. And she was very, very sick. She was there 3 hours and they didn't admit her.
Yeah.
And, and the final thing that the nurse said was, you guys are doing everything correct. Keep doing what you're doing. And then we drove away. And so we were doing everything because we had the resources in our circle we consulted with 2 doctors and a nurse, and we were like constantly being supported by these people. And so you get when you need oxygen, a doctor will give you a prescription. You have to go get one. And then for us, Jody and I were both super, super low liters per minute, and it would get us up into the safe range. And Jody was on oxygen for 10 days. And so the first one we got for Jody was actually a pretty big one. It looked like kind of a suitcase. Mm-hmm. And it was, and we never used its full capacity, but we wanted it in case we did. And then we also got a smaller one when I needed it. At that point, she was still needed at 24/7. So so we got there's a little portable one. And that's the one that I used. And so, so like for us, a nasal cannula will get you up to 5 liters. And for most people, that's enough. But one of the other people in, the Able Shepherd program, his father, he was at 6 liters, which was maxed out for his unit. And his SpO2 was 78, 80. You're going to the hospital then. When you cannot take care of it at home, that's your option.
Yeah.
And so, so that the number one thing I say, and so we bought them because we wanted it to be able to say, the next person in the circle, we got you covered.
Yeah.
Right? Well, somebody in our circle is now using one of those concentrators because they got COVID about 2 weeks after we did. And I got a call on Saturday as I was driving to our special event, and he's like, hey, my oxygen percentage is 81%. Can't get it higher. I'll be right over.
Yeah.
And so that allows us to.
You say concentrator, so it's not a bottle.
It's not a bottle.
Just hooked up. There's something else.
It's something. It actually takes the ambient air, and then concentrates it down into a higher percentage of oxygen.
Oh, okay.
And so it's feeding you more.
So it doesn't have to be refilled. It pulls it from the air.
You just plug it in.
Wow.
And so there's portable ones. There's big home units.
Are these expensive? Are they?
Yeah, they're expensive.
Ish? Like
you
what's
can
the ballpark?
start getting anywhere from about $1,000 to $2,500.
Okay.
The bigger units, the ones that actually it's not the bigger in terms of size, but the ones that can push more. A 10-liter unit is going to cost you more.
Yeah.
But it always happens at the worst time.
Right.
And so, actually, Jody's was Sunday at 8:00, and mine was Sunday afternoon at 4. The week later, and it's like nothing's open.
Yeah.
There's no.
And the
doctor
guy you're talking about is Friday night, I believe.
Yes.
Right. And I had just talked to him.
You would talk to him on
He's
Friday,
good to go.
and it was fine.
Yeah, and you're like,
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I just talked to him. He's like, no, it was overnight. I'm like, oh, whoa, okay.
Yep. Yeah, that was the thing.
That's
like,
how fast. Yep.
Yeah, for me, the day before, up until that was like day 15 or something, 14, and I was lower than normal, but I was not in danger.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's like my body's not getting oxygen to my extremities.
Yeah.
Not to my brain at the percentage you need it. So for me, it's all about developing a community with the resources to deal with this. When you said, what should we call this one? And I'm like, it should be something along the lines of, is it possible to OD on
Oxygen?
No, it is. It absolutely can on oxygen. That is the thing. But on that, the over the counter cold and flu medicine. What's I can't think of it right now. I'm totally blanking. But like all of the NyQuil. Yeah. So it's like, can you OD on NyQuil? Because I tried.
Because trying to sleep.
Because like at every night, like I would take all of the over the counter stuff you already need to have for this.
Yeah.
So that you're not going out exposing others, but for all the prescriptions that we would prescribe, we had other people do that for us. All of these people, all this community supported that.
Yeah.
But like NyQuil, oh my goodness.
Can somebody pick me up a gallon of NyQuil at Costco?
Correct.
Right.
You got
and then somebody else
crazy.
gets it, right?
It was crazy how much we, and like the decongestants and all that stuff, because the medical community, the medical industry right now does not have the capability or the capacity to help you with COVID until you are extremely sick. That was our takeaway. It's not what they want to do.
Yeah.
They don't have the capacity. And so when you're kind of sick, you're on your own.
Yeah.
You are 100% on your own. So you've got to be able to deal with that. And I'm not saying
we talked about emergencies. This reminded me. You just said that. What do we say in the emergency? Like if you're in a crisis?
Yeah. Is it
self-aid?
Yep.
Buddy aid. Medicaid. Like you've got to do that. We're in a crisis right now. Yes. So if you can take care of yourself, do it.
Yep.
If you can't, that community, help each other, take care of one another. Mm-hmm. And then if you can't, you may show up at the hospital and they got nothing for you unless you're going to die, and they still might not have anything for you. So that's a scare. That is a crisis.
It is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're absolutely in that crisis phase right now.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing that, because now I'm thinking about that, man. I'm going to be driving to Parker and getting moving. Because I'd heard you guys talking about it. I just assumed it was like the little trailer of O2 that you see the guys with the nasal cannula and all that stuff.
That's absolutely an option as well.
Yeah, to refill those and keep them nice. But if this thing condenses it from the ambient air and provides that, then that just seems like a better deal. And again, might not be able to swing it for $1,000 per family, whatever, but if many families in your circles did it.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden it's not a big burden.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like every family needs an oxygen concentrator, but like, maybe your circle of 10 or 12 families, maybe somebody can find one.
Yeah.
And just have it ready.
Yeah.
Because again, it always happens at the worst time.
Yeah.
And so it's all about developing that community that can help each other.
Yeah. You're not that guy stabbing a guy in Walmart trying to eat the last generator during a blizzard.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
It's or in Virginia, it was hurricanes.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, back up. It's like this happens every year, guys.
Yeah.
Get your stuff together. Okay. Well, appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. BK, thank you as always. Going to go ahead and wrap it up. Please look more into the training program called Able Shepherd at ableshepherd.com. Check out the podcast, both audio and, if you're driving, with audio. If you're at home, you can check it out and watch the videos. That's protectorculture.com, or check us out on YouTube. What I'm missing? Stand the Gap Initiative. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about, these free resources with just being better prepared for just life or whatever. We say, hey, don't be that prepper that stares at the horizon waiting for Al-Qaeda. Just get certain things. The 2 in 10 card we talked about, you flip that over. All those starter resources. Once you get that, get back to your life, because you don't want to live a life of fear. But the truth is that if something really, really bad happens, additionally, you're going to try to get that card together. Well, now it's too late. So just go ahead and get that together now. It's a good way to live. We call it the root cellar mentality. Get that root cellar mentality going on so you can take care of your loved ones. But those resources are free for you at standinthegapinitiative.com. And again, to thank our sponsors, contact Neil for any kind of support regarding protecting those in your care at able-nation.org. All right, guys, thanks a lot. We'll see you next time. God bless each and every one of you. Take care of one another.